Earnestly podcast here coming to you. Um, Halloween, happy Halloween. That's of course October 31st, 2023. We're gonna get to our typical Studio Game Report segment we do every single Tuesday on the podcast. But before we get to that, we had some breaking news. I want to kind of dive into a little bit of a monologue. I guess I'll call that here. Woke up this morning to the news. James Harden, Clippers, well, such a Sixers guard, disgruntled Sixers guard, finally traded to the LA Clippers. In a deal, I think he's going, as well as PJ Tucker, another piece is going. Um, the Clippers get a bunch of draft picks here. It's kind of from what I can see here, this is actually a lot more than I thought the Sixers would get in a deal like this. So the breakdown here, the Sixers are getting Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, he's back in Philadelphia, KJ Martin, multiple draft picks and a pick swap for James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrozev. Now, on the Philly end, I think it's a good trade considering the fact that when you consider how far we got into this process, we're already a week into the season. They got a lot of assets and some nice pieces that can, you know, look, they're not James Harden, obviously. Not James Harden good, but Nick Batum, Robert Covington, 3D guy, Marcus Morris, a veteran. These are guys that, and look, we're only weekends to the season, obviously, but it's fair to say that Maxey, Tyrese Maxey has made the leap, at least weekend. He's been phenomenal. So are you, does this team compete? Can this team with a Maxey, Embiid core, could this core compete with the top of the Eastern Conference? I have my doubts still. I still think Milwaukee and Boston are still separate themselves from the pack. Um, but again, given the situation, given what was going on and all that, I do think this was a good deal. Honestly, for Philadelphia, given the circumstances, you get rid of the headache and James Harden. Um, and I think there's some nice core pieces there. Tobias Harris now still there. He'll be able to, you know, be elevated a little bit now too as well. So on the Philly end, it doesn't make. I still think the better with James Harden. Quite a skeptic. But given the situation and all and the circumstances and whatnot, I thought Philly did pretty well here. And I also think Philadelphia is going to be still in the mix for some pieces. I'm of the opinion. I said this on my previous podcast weeks ago that two teams to look at this season that could be massive sellers depending on how the season plays out. And so far, it looks like it could be going that direction. The Bulls, the Raptors are two teams I believe that will be selling teams. You can probably have DeMar DeRozan on the market at some point. You can probably have OG Anunoby in Toronto on the market at some point. Maybe Siakam at some point. Who knows? Zach LaVine. So there's still options for Philadelphia and other teams are in the mix trying to compete for a title. You can poach from those rosters. I do think Toronto and Chicago are two teams that will be sellers by the time we get to the deadline in February. All right. So that's the Philadelphia end of all this. What about the Clippers end? Well, I see this. Obviously you combine James Harden with his old teammate Russell Westbrook for the third time already. They OKC and Houston, now this. And then now you have him combined with those two guys, and then you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Clippers have had a good start to the year so far. This feels like title of bust right now for the next year, maybe 2 years if Harden signs another year. All things equal, if you're telling me that Kawhi Leonard is healthy, if you're telling me Paul George is healthy by the time we get to April and May, okay, Westbrook has fit very well so far to his team. This can be a team that competes with Denver and the Suns in the West. Yes, they will compete if they're healthy. I also like this move for the Clippers for one reason, main reason here. Because of the fact that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George always get hurt anyway every single year, and twice on Sundays and twice on Saturdays. A guy like James Harden absolutely helps the team because say which one about James Harden. James Harden is absolutely a I won't go as far as I call him a cancer. That's not, I don't think it's appropriate to say use those words. But situation with James Harden, love him or hate him. James Harden between October and April shows up. James Harden is a workhorse. James Harden does play basketball. So he's actually a nice piece to have, which would now allow the Clippers to actually low manage. I mean, I say that, the latest study came out that low management doesn't actually work. It's not really good. I say that with the fact that all that. But look, you can actually now patience. Well, Kawhi can miss games here and there now, and you still have Harden here available to play to fill in that role. Now, James Harden be the great player he has been, Hall of Fame player. Will he be that guy in the playoffs? We'll see. But at least there's a nice cast surrounding it. The Clippers still keep Terrence Mann. They still keep a lot of those good pieces they have there. The question for the Clippers is going to be simply injuries. Is this team going to be healthy by the time it matters? What I will say is this, though. This move, I think, now puts the Clippers now in the lock for top 6 in the Western Conference. The West is stacked, obviously. So this move should at least have the Clippers avoiding the play-in situation, which you don't want anyway. You know what I mean? So if anything, this is what this move does. It actually avoids the Clippers playing in the play-in situation. Beyond that, we'll see who's healthy, who's available by the time April comes around. But that's my 2 cents. We'll obviously talk about this on the podcast throughout the week. We got lots of shows this week scheduled. We're gonna have an NBA show later in the week. Scheduled as well too, an NBA All NBA episode later in the week. So we'll talk about that. Obviously, myself and Zach. We're doing a special podcast tonight. Actually, moving up one day earlier because of Halloween and all that stuff. So we'll obviously have this. This will be a discussion on this podcast moving forward. So anyway, with that being said, thank you so much for the monologue here, for the little piece here, and now we get to Kyle Nash and we talk more football. Sticking Import, the man Kyle Nash. All right, just finish my monologue on James Harden. You have any thoughts on the Harden trade? The Clippers finally.
I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to interrupt you like you did me with the quarterback sneak on the simulcast of the Student of the Game report on the Student of the Game podcast last week.
I said what I said.
But I said what I said. Whatever. No, listen. But really, it's interesting now. Immediately, I know everybody's going right to, well, if anybody's gonna quit on a team, it's James Harden, and I'll clap that, and rightly so. Except here's the thing: the element of some of that being on Philly's part, certain things being said, wasn't it Philly's front office that he referred to as being liars?
Yeah, their president.
Right. So I think some of that doubt is mitigated, not cured. The problem with Harden is obviously there's an element of the boy who cried wolf, just like on Twitter, where our good friend Big Jim Neese is the boy who cried ref. So I said, and he laughed at that too when I said that to him. He was on the show a few weeks back.
I mean, find a lie.
Wow. Okay. Well, here I was just taking a stray instead. Like, when the Avenger movies were like Iron Man shoots a shot at a Captain America's shield, and you were like, and like you just put it right at James Neese, Big Jim Neese, as if he was, a Marvel villain or something. So that's interesting.
And by the way, that was James Harden and Daryl Morey and their fractured relationship now. And it was funny because they worked together in Houston, and I don't know. It's just one of those things. I do think with the real quick, this, and I said it earlier on the podcast that
I say
all things equal, if the Clippers are healthy by April, this is actually a really good move. One thing I will say with James Harden, say one about James Harden, at least he plays his games between October and April. He shows up, so he's actually a nice little insurance policy to have. While you have Kawhi Leonard who's in and out of the lineup because of injuries, whatnot. So to have that buffer, at least provides that.
Is that where we're at on Harden insurance policy? That's interesting.
Well, again,
I mean, I don't want to go too much in the weeds, and this is definitely not me saying you're wrong here, because, well, you're not in a rare form. We are talking basketball.
Calm down.
But,
Cut your rare form bullshit, number one. Okay,
Facts
student
don't
game.
care about your feelings, Earnest Christian.
But my feelings are hurt right now. So,
Oh.
and that's fact. Oh, see what I did there?
Oh,
Done you?
come
Flip
here.
yours, there we
So
go. Look
sorry.
at that. Oh, God, look at that.
See, I'm not above
Anyway.
liking you. It's okay.
Yeah.
What was that? Were you on my beard right then? Is that what that was?
Anyway, we're here to talk NFL, football rather. Well, college on the back end, of course. Let's start here because we're about to. Next week technically is the middle of the year, and I feel like I guess we know who the tiers are. I mean, we'll discuss tiers in a second. What your tiers are?
Do we? I mean,
but there's no clear cut best team. Like,
see,
okay,
that's the thing. There's no clear cut. But your leading statement was, we know the teams are tiers. I mean,
there's groups of teams who are really, really good, and there's a group that's
some movement, and granted, over and above somebody predicting something that was an actual correct and legitimate prediction, rather than somebody milking that, oh, look, I picked something that might be right with the bed. Yes, I'm still throwing shots at you for that Browns game.
So I said.
And so did I. And mine was right for 3 weeks, and yours basically piggybacked on me. But the punchlines. No, listen, joking aside, like there's so much movement, and that's the nature of the NFL, such that it is. Like, you see, I got my 49ers hat on today. I'm still not ready to panic like the 49er media is right now, even with the 3-game skid.
I'm with you 100%.
It is what it is, man.
I had someone on social media ask me, how you feel about the Niners now?
Oh, right.
And I'm like, well, honestly, I still feel the same way about them. They're the one team in the league. I said last week, they're the one team in the league where like they can go 10-7, make the playoffs as a wild card,
and they're still
and I'm still not worried about them because what they do travels well. So I mean, look, I know everyone wants me to go week to week on the stuff, and I get it. There's some knee jerks right there.
Sometimes you do.
This is the one team I don't knee jerk about. Now, if you're telling me Trent Williams not healthy in January, then we got now we got a problem.
Oh, bro,
now we got a problem.
I would be panicking. No, Trent Williams. I did panic. If you remember a couple years back, going into the playoffs, I had predicted Jimmy Garoppolo was going to win the first 2 games, but then when it came up against the Packers, that Trent was hurt or dinged up. I think he played in the game, but he was dinged up. That worried me, and they still won that game. Granted, plenty of help from special teams, but I digress.
Right. So last week I mentioned that my tier 1 was 3 teams. I mentioned Philadelphia, Kansas City, and San Francisco.
Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh my God.
It shit happens sometimes, right? Come on now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. By the way, speaking of you saying shit so many times, if you're wondering why there's not a pod or why your student of the game report did not make it to the A7B in sports, it's because you said that way too many times, man. Did I really curse that episode? There was at least 5. I thought I did well. I thought I did well there. Like, you had more shits than somebody that ate Taco Bell. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
More shits than giggles, huh? I guess, huh? So anyway, I mentioned last week.
You said what you said.
Hey, it is what it is, man. I'm not changing now. I'm 43. I'm too old to change. So I said last week 3 teams in the bubble.
Yes.
Kyle Nash. I've officially increased that bubble now to 5 teams in the Super Bowl tier 1. Okay. 5 teams. And the 2 teams have not entered. First off, let me say clear that my 3 still remains.
Oh, actually, I think I know exactly who one of them is, and I'm going to clat that, and rightly so, even before I hear who it is.
Okay, so my 3 teams that were there last week: San Francisco, Philadelphia, Kansas City.
For those who
they remain
previously on X-Men, those were the tier 1.
They remain in my bubble, tier 1 bubble.
No fronts.
Baltimore's entered the chat. And
Baltimore.
then
That's not the one I expected, but go ahead.
And then the Bengals entered the chat.
Okay, so let's start with the one that was obvious, which you decided to say second, because sometimes you make questionable hosting decisions. Yeah, and rightly so with Joey Burr. I mean, just the history, we've cited it many times. I even got a little bit panicked when they lost to the Titans, such as they were. But yeah, now they're coming back and they're doing Joey Burr things. Granted, beating the Niners was less shocking to me. Again, absence of Trent Williams, that defense struggling without DeMeco Ryans coaching, something that was cited by some of us back in the month of July on the Student of the Game previews. Bing! But yeah, I think that's a fine list. The Ravens,
You're still on the fence because I missed it last week. They were on the holding pattern. I need to see a little
Yeah.
more. I saw enough this week.
Right, and this is one of those where you in your case you even opted to not knee jerk, and now you're like, okay, but 31-24 over the Cardinals doesn't do that for me. But I'm not mad at
it. Was a blowout pretty much most of the ways. There's some cheap points late in the game, but that was a dominant effort pretty much for the most part. Got the gas last couple minutes.
Okay, but because the Cardinals are a bad team, if you want me to be, you can have garbage time scores allowed. I'm not against that. It's listen, the damn NFL is about survival, but
Correct.
if you're going to give up those garbage points, you still need to be winning by 2 scores. I'm not even saying 2 touchdowns, Ernest Christian, by 2 scores for me to be that impressed, and the Ravens did not achieve that. Now, any Ravens fans, I'm not here to say that the Ravens don't have that opportunity or they're a bad team. I'm pulling what you would say is my best James Neese. I'm still on the fence. That's a joke, Jim, and it's at EJ's expense. So if you have,
it's not a joke. It's a truth.
Oh no, leaning into the shade. Wow.
No, I mean he's gotten better this year with the fence sitting, but
okay.
You sound he still has his fence sitting thing. I think
it's a better schedule this year.
It's not my fault. I like to take chances and be bold on picks. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you have no problem looking like a jester. Anyways, in your defense, the Colts loss was bad. I'll grant you that, but I think that was not on Lamar Demetrius.
They also missed 7 stars in that game too. Forget that. 7
Very
stars.
Great point by you, Ernest Christian. You beat me there, and I like it. And also the Steelers game, totally going to give them a pass because for one, that's a tough defense. I watched them in person. Well, not in person like there, but I watched them live here this past week with Travis Holmes of BigCatCountry.com as we did the Duval Dive live watch along on the Pro Sports Fans app. Bing! And
nice.
That's a tough defensive team. And the argument could be made that they might have had a better chance if Kenny Pickett weren't knocked out, but then again, maybe not. All of the above to say, that losing to the Steelers doesn't faze me. That's I think it's my favorite rivalry in the NFL. That's we've seen that go either way for at least a decade, right, EJ? So all that to say, like their big wins are beating the Bengals early. How impressive is that? Everybody beats the Bengals early, and the Lions, dominating the Lions is what got us to see and look into that got them on the radar. I will grant you 28 points on the Browns defense is also impressive, but I need to see more before I tier 1 the Ravens.
Okay, so what is your tier 1? How big's your tier 1? And who is it?
It's still 3 teams because personally I still need to see more from the Bengals, but I ain't mad at you for putting them there. Like you said 5, and I'm like, that sounds like too much. And the way you've laid it out, it's not bad. But I'll put it this way. If the Bengals go out next week and handle business against the Bills, we'll have the tier 1 conversation for your Cincinnati Bengals. And I guess I'm kind of seeing the same thing. Maybe if the Ravens dominate the Seahawks next week, I might be inclined to agree with you. But yeah, for me right now, it's still Chiefs, Niners, Eagles today. And even with the Eagles lost to the Jets, but I mean, like the Jets, listen, I can't. I am not prepared to confirm or deny. No, I won't put it that way. Robert Saleh is making him a mid-season Coach of the Year candidate.
I said it. I said it last week. I said it. If this team is in playoffs, he's got to get serious consideration Coach of the Year.
Well, you said making the playoffs. I'm not prepared to say that's going to happen.
No. If it happens,
hold on. Okay. And when you made that statement, I immediately agreed with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be clear about that. Because if you try to come out with a morning star, that's a clear misappropriation.
No, I'm not trying to claim anything on that one. I just said that I mentioned it to a lot of folks last week that if this dude somehow gets this team in the playoffs, given the ineptitude of Zach Wilson, you got to get some credit.
Yeah, when you even mention it, a bunch of people will go, well, that will never happen. That in itself proves that you would be absolutely correct in my mind. Like that's up there with Adrian Peterson carrying the Vikings into the playoffs in 2012, I think it was. Yeah. So
correct. Yeah. Around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your tier 1's 3. Yeah,
today,
I'm not mad about that.
Next week, You could see two more teams jump on next week. Like if we see the Ravens dominate the Seahawks in similar fashion to what they did to the Lions, I'll have the conversation. If the Bengals beat the Bills, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm with you. So then obviously Detroit, Miami, Seattle, Dallas. That's all Jacksonville tier 2s, right? For now.
High tier 2 though. I mean, bro, 6-2 with what they've done. I mean, let's not play around here. Like that's the second best start in franchise history. Brief history, albeit. You have to at least.
It's almost been 30 years, 28 years now. So I mean, it's close to that.
Yeah,
brief, but yes,
relatively still brief. I mean, but they may have the makings of their franchise's best quarterback on that roster. They're having the first receiver core to rival McCardle or McCardell, depending on how you want to say it, and Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
Natron Means their O-line doesn't have a Hall of Famer on it, but it's overperforming and doing an amazing job. Anton Harrison I'm going to do the Jags MVPs with Travis Holmes this week on the Duval Dive as the Jags have a bye week. And I have to seriously consider Anton Harrison, who's a rookie tackle that had to come in and handle a lot of business with Cam Robinson being suspended. So anyways, I'm off track. But yeah, the Jags, I would say at this point are a high tier 2. The offense has not been explosive enough to be a true tier 1, in my opinion. But that defense, Ernest Christian, that defense, though. If you aren't thinking about Josh Allen as a potential defensive player of the year candidate, you're wrong.
Yeah. So that being said, because there's some really big games next week. Really big games next week. And the teams we mentioned are all involved in them.
Not the Jags.
Well, no, right. Jags the only one of the bunch involved in a big game. So we mentioned Bengals Bills next week. You got Dolphins Chiefs next week in Germany.
Right.
You have Ravens Seahawks next week. And then you have Cowboys Eagles. So we agree that Dallas, Baltimore, and based on your list, Dallas, Baltimore, Miami, and Cincinnati right now still currently tier 2 teams right now.
High tier 2, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
If all 4 of these teams I mentioned win next week, does that shift to tier 1?
Well, I think we cited that, right? Now, granted,
no, all 4 teams. I'm saying
if the Dolphins win, they're not tier 1. They're
even against the Chiefs, right?
Right, because then see the Chiefs may get themselves knocked out of tier 1 if they lose back to back.
Ooh.
That's a separate question. The Dolphins will still not be tier 1 because they still have to, in my mind, answer for both their shellackings against good football teams. What is it? The Bills and
the Eagles. And the
Eagles. Thank you. Yeah, that has to be accounted for. Now the Chiefs, again, have become a sneaky good defensive team, and nobody's talking enough about that.
Yeah.
Other than Nick Wright, to his credit.
You and I, of course.
Of course, because we bring it up here on the Student Game Report every week. Bing!
That's right.
But
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Baltimore would be Seattle this week.
If they dominate Seattle, if it's a close game, if it's less than a score, I'm not impressed.
What about the Cowboys?
The Cowboys got a lot of work. They've never
been in Philadelphia.
Don't care.
Winning in Philadelphia. Okay.
Don't care.
No.
In the words of Mike Tomlin, we do not care.
Well, Stephen A. Smith also too. We don't care.
I can't be quite that obnoxious on cue.
That's true. To be fair,
no disrespect to Stephen A. Smith. That's his delivery, but I can't. I can't do it.
He's like, I'm here to tell you, we don't care. We don't care.
We don't
care.
We don't care. Oh, I'll do it like Deion Sanders. Ain't nobody care. Hey, do you like that one?
Yeah, I do. Kirk Cousins out for the year.
Yeah, man.
That sucks.
For a couple reasons. Why I just feel horrible for him is one, and two, now because he's hurt in such depressing fashion, I can't make fun of him for the rest of the season. That's not appropriate at all. No, listen, I kid, but really, that is a sad situation. I don't celebrate that.
It's sad too because last week we did our locks on here, right? We're doing our playoff locks, and we'll talk about like teams to look out forwards and that.
Oh yeah, you were the dummy that said the Vikings were a playoff lock.
Oh no! I'll go a step further on the dummy thing. Had he survived this game, had he survived this game this week against Green Bay unscathed, I was ready to lock him as a wild card.
Yeah, that
Because what did I say last week though?
How else are they going to make the playoffs? Is via wild card? Do you think they're winning the North?
No. Not got Detroit.
Okay, and that's my So
no,
yeah,
but my point was, and look, your point about the NFC North was a valid point about schedule optics, all that kind of thing that can screw it up,
vacuum, etc.
Far back in the whole nine. But I have no faith in no teams below Minnesota in the wild card race at this time to grab that 7th spot. No faith.
And
the Rams blew their chance this week.
Oh, I'm not going to go that far.
Well, now it's open now because of Cousins being gone. Because I know how Minnesota will look going forward.
So what you're trying to say though is the Rams would have been in the driver's seat. Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah, but with Cousins being gone, now they're still kind of in the mix because obviously I know how Minnesota's looking at going forward. Because you saw last couple weeks though, even without Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison's been balling.
You got to wonder how much they miss Dalvin Cook now. Not to be that guy.
No. They
but
do.
I'm going to be that guy.
They do. Absolutely do.
Actually, you know what? I'm even going to morning star the Vikings fan base. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
Yeah. No, but because I can't do it, I can't lock them now as a result. That being said,
so Bill Winkle even knows that. Hail to the no, to the no.
That being said, though, Minnesota, the 4-4. If the playoffs start today, obviously not. We'll still ways from that, but they're in actually. They're the 7th seed right now currently. If you're Minnesota, how do you proceed? Do you stick what you have this new quarterback, whatever his name is? I forgot his name. Do you go after Carson Wentz? What do you do?
I mean, who can you get at free agency, and how quickly can they get into the offense? I mean, that's what you're weighing, right? I mean, at this point, at 4-4, right? With the schedule, I mean, the Falcons are, but you got to have a guy that jumps in quick, where the schedule includes 2 games against let's say the presumed NFC North champion in your Frisky Lions, right? And the Bengals. That's 3 of your games, right? Would you say the magic number to make the number 7 is 9 wins? That means they got to do, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I feel like 9's a lock at this point now. I think 8. I think we'll see a scenario where we might see 8 might be enough.
Okay. Well, that's why I said it. 9,
right.
We lock
that's
up the 7th spot, which is disappointing, but at least still a winning record. Punchline. That means they have to, if you assume they're going to get swept by the Lions and lose to the Bengals, that's 3 gone immediately. Do you see 5 wins in the following? The Fraud Cons. That's a toss-up now that Taylor Heineke's at quarterback. The Saints. I see them losing that football game because the Seeds defense, I think, will take advantage of whoever the quarterback is, and it's Addison, right? That's the rookie receiver.
He's been balling.
Yeah, he's been balling, but now Marcus Latimer is an issue. So, that's a toss-up. The Broncos, that better be winnable. The Bears at home. You better take that one home. So far we got 2 wins, right? The Raiders, y'all better win that one. Who knows by then if Devontae Adams will still be on the damn team.
We'll probably know by the next couple hours with the trade line on the corner.
And then if they beat the Vikings, that's 4. That means that's only 8 wins, meaning they got to clearly beat the Bengals or split the Lions.
Let me ask you, but here's the question there. No, right.
Damn hard.
But to your point, though, would you have felt the same way if Kirk Cousins was quarterback? That's the difference now.
No, it's not. I feel like the Falcons would be still an easier win
with Kirk Cousins.
I think the Falcons would be the 5th win with Cousins.
Right. So Kirk Cousins will get
what time that game was. Sorry.
Yeah. To your point, though, Kirk Cousins will at least get over the threshold of 9 wins if he's healthy.
Yeah. Now I don't know where tie breaks would fit in because the performances of other teams and things like that. Like for example, that Falcons game could be a tie break, right?
Yeah, of course.
So
but I would feel better with them getting to 9-10 wins with Kirk Cousins as quarterback.
Yes, please. By the way, please pick up the subtle hint for those that missed it that declares I think the Saints are going to win the division.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you on that, definitely.
I might have picked the Bucks earlier in the year, but I mean, I had actually no, I don't think I did. I'll pull up while you're continuing to do the thing. I'll be a good guest and pull up my pick so I can verify my claim. But
I had the Bucks being flirting with it. I didn't think they'd get in, but I said they could win 7 games this year and then make it interesting.
And we knew they would make it interesting because the NFC South is terrible. You're an NBA guy. We'll go Charles Barkley with that. They're terrible. Yeah, I got the Saints winning 10. So,
yeah, they're 4-4 now, I think, too, right? I think, yeah.
So,
no,
and maybe they'll only get 9.
No, for the record, I'm not there anymore because of the fact that Cousins is gone. So even with them winning Green Bay, that came with a cost. So no, Minnesota's not making the playoffs because
you were still at ballsy picking them with.
But here's the question though: if you're Minnesota, do you ride this out with the quarterback now, or do you try to get the wild card? Do you try to do it, or do you tank? Call it whatever.
I wouldn't call it a tanking. And here's the thing: you got to look at it. If everything goes according to plan, you make the wild card. You realize you have a young talent that can serve your team, and there's a lot of positives. Worst case scenario is you position yourself to be relatively bad. Maybe you could get somebody who falls or trade up to get somebody at quarterback that you would be impressive. I'm not saying it would be the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, but maybe, for example, they keep Michael Penix wearing purple, for example. See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that you did there. It's nice.
That's what she said.
Yeah, she did say that. Yeah. All right. So then, with that being said, let's go to the NFC Wildcard picture because now with this Cousins thing becoming a thing, I think the NFC Wildcard picture is going to be a complete mess. Now, here's where I stand on this.
Oh, hey, you know what else I heard? Breaking news: we breathe oxygen.
Right. Anyway. So let me, for clarity though, clarity. Okay. Right now, San Francisco is a wildcard team. Based on the standings.
Sure.
Seattle's in first place.
We're also what? Week 8, we're not even halfway.
Yeah. So but my point is, Seattle, San Francisco, whoever wins this division is guaranteed a wild card, in my opinion. Same applies for
whoever
Cowboys.
Right,
correct. Okay. Same applies to Eagles and Cowboys. Whoever wins the division.
Welcome to the NFC, fool.
Okay, so we have 2 locks in the wild card. Whether it's the Eagles, Cowboys, whether it's the Niners, Seahawks.
I'm not as convinced of the Cowboys. Let me remind you, Earnest Christian, that I believe this was August. Ashley Baker was not happy with me when I told her I had them missing the playoffs.
You had 8 wins, but at this point now they've won 2 in a row since you said that, and now they're now what 5-2 now.
That carries to your point, Earnest Christian. Like, let me remind you, I had 5 teams winning 8 games. Now 2 of them, that's not going to happen.
Real quick. Right. So the conversation was 2 weeks ago when Big Jim had his whole fucking bitch fest about the Cowboys on the podcast. Okay, about the Cowboys. Oh, they're done, this and that. And I told you guys 50-50 games. Well, so far they're 2-0 50-50 games right now.
Yeah. Listen, and first of all, don't act like you saw the Chargers melting down like that. Okay.
Saw it. It's an expectation, Kyle. Look at the coach.
No. It was an expectation for them to lose. It just wasn't a loss like that. To me, that's no different than the Niners-Cowboys game. Oh, I knew the Cowboys were going to lose. I didn't expect that.
All I'm saying is that, look, if we're arguing about Cowboys, Super Bowl contender, that kind of thing, you got a conversation.
Those 2 wins were a BFD, right? Just like Obamacare, and according to Joe Biden. That's a big deal. I get it, Earnest Christian. Right. I get it.
They're going to pass 8 wins with flying colors now.
It certainly looks that way. But again, the Cowboys still have plenty of time to cowboy. You should know this as a Cowboys fan.
Shut your ass. One. Okay. They'll melt down in the playoffs when they get there. After they accomplish 9-10 wins.
Sure. I'm not ruling that out either. But again, to your point, there's still 2 more Eagles matchup. Actually, no, there's still 5 more division games. Stop declaring victory.
One against the Giants, which they'll win.
Are you sure? You sure about that? You sure?
We're not doing this, are we? We're not doing this, are we?
We were sure. Oh, shut up a minute. You're not getting my point. Okay. We were sure the Cowboys were going to beat the Cardinals, right? And who knows, if your coach of the year actually remembered how to coach, maybe they would have beaten the Jets. But no, I mean, obviously, listen, chalking up the Giants as a win, sure. But with the Cowboys, if some mistakes are made, if the Giants start to believe, okay, you're right, they'll probably still lose. But listen, I make jokes, but to your point, the next 2 of the next 3 games, right? Eagles at the Link, and then the Giants and the Panthers. That would put them, what is it? 4
7 wins there.
4 of their next 5 they won after the beating from the 49ers. You have to like that, you and Jim as Cowboys fans.
Again, not a Cowboy fan for the rest of the podcast. Listen to Kyle's propaganda here in the podcast. Please listen to that. He's so full of shit. But I hate rooting for this crap, but you guys, you're Cowboy haters. You guys,
Cowboys in the Super Bowl in the preseason. Good on
y'all panicked. Big Jim, you panicked. I told you. Relax.
Well, okay, hold on. Shut your ass. Like,
oh, there you go, Jericho.
I was less panicking, more as being like, well, I mean, I predicted this, so I have to acknowledge this. Mm-hmm. I did not predict the Chargers losing that game. And actually, it was only, they only beat the Chargers by 3. Bruh. So there's that.
The Chargers are better than the record, though. They're a little better.
They are absolutely talent-wise, but to your point, their coaching is terrible. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
No. The Cowboys putting up 43 points. Nobody had that on the damn bingo card.
I had Rams on the points, in fact.
Yeah, as a Cowboy fan, you still didn't have them capable of scoring 43 points.
No.
Now, I say all of that to say the defense had something to do with it. Like there's an interception return in here, for example, yada, yada, all that stuff.
Here's the question, Kyle, straight up. Because you had are they going to get 8 wins this year? Are you going to hold on to that take since August?
Listen.
You don't want to let go.
I can't yet. They haven't given me enough to do that, right? Because with the wins they've gotten, there's asterisks attached to them, right? This is the same as the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. This year, there's a clear reason why they're winning. It's their defense, and you can't deny it.
No,
damn it. Maybe Mitchell Trubisky had something to do with it, but the Jags are missing
Who?
Trubisky with a B, as in you're a bitch. Stop it. Now,
should I say it?
No.
Okay.
I'm not Big Jim. Don't let fetch don't make fetch happen.
Where does that come from? The fetch happen thing. I can't hear that.
Mean Girls. I never saw the movie, but I know the clip. Anyways.
Some Mean Girls? Okay.
Yeah.
Good movie, by the way.
You would know that.
I was had a question on Lindsay Lohan.
Separate question.
Soft spot.
I wouldn't do it, but I understand. Anyways, so
too ginger for you?
I'll get back to you on that. I really need to ponder it. Like
I'm here full of breast for this podcast right now.
Have you ever had something where there's just a feeling, but you can't? It's kind of like when me and Taylor Swift. Like, I get it, but like there's something that goes danger, Will Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
I'll touch that before you go. I'll touch on that. I got to bump pick somebody, one of our fan members here. I got to bump pick with them about something they said yesterday. Go ahead, continue.
But when it comes to Lindsay Lohan, and listen, I have the jail time to back me on that one. Anyways, get me back on track. Oh, the Cowboys. Just like last year with the Jags, this year, most of the Cowboys wins have an asterisk attached to it, meaning not an asterisk as in like it's not an actual win. I'm not trying to say anything that damn dramatic, but like, going through their schedule for the regular season, okay, the Giants gianted. The Jets didn't have Aaron Rodgers. They lost to the Cardinals. The Patriots are bad. It's the 49ers. The Kellen Moore revenge tour failed because of your favorite coach, which, by the way, your favorite coach is and injuries is the reason why the Jags beat them last year.
By the way, real quick, this is probably the first year in the 10 years doing this podcast together that you've sounded more of a homer for your team than ever.
I was critical of them earlier, and actually,
no, Homer.
I'm still critical of them. That's the part.
Well, you are. To your credit, you still are. But I've never seen more of a homer for the Niners than you ever have been this year.
How?
Like you wear your fan a little more than usual this year.
I do,
in my opinion.
I've been critical of them. I don't.
No. I'm not saying you're not being critical. I'm not saying that you. That's to your credit. You've always been the Niners been always balanced. And I'm saying you still are now, but you've been a little more homerish.
Am I being more homer, or are they
team.
just a better effing team, jackass?
Well, I mean, you went to the Super Bowl.
What?
3 years ago. Well, 3 years ago, went to the Super Bowl. You weren't this homerish. Jackass.
Well, there were elements of that team. There were elements of that team I was a lot less of a believer in too. Like,
okay, to your point. To your point, yeah.
Yeah, like for example, they didn't have Christian McCaffrey back then, bro.
That's true. The great white hope.
Cut me a little slack, eh? No, but
making a radio here.
Yeah, but then Staley, and then the Rams. We didn't expect, John Matthew Stafford to have the game he did either. So
bad. Well, yeah,
right. So a lot of asterisks in that we don't feel like those are Cowboys wins as much as other teams' failings. Mm-hmm. And the big moment, like the one game they were like, okay, here's the test. Boy, listen. Yeah. So I'll grant you this. I might be prepared to, if they beat the Eagles in Philly next week, I will alter my statement because I do believe that that's kind of a linchpin in what they're doing.
It's the first game against each other in 2 years where both teams are actually fully healthy for once.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
No,
and that's kind of cool. Back to the NFC wildcard picture. So I was saying, there's no doubt that. Well, you said, we'll still your thing on Dallas. I have Dallas and Seattle, whoever the hell is going to be the 2 wildcards, no matter whether they win the division or not.
And here's the other reason why you look good there. The Packers, since the good start, have just tanked. I mean, we'll call it what it is. They've just tanked.
Let me ask you this then: if you're the Packers, are you out on Jordan Love?
I was out on Jordan Love going into this year, so I mean that should answer your question for you, buddy.
Okay, well, fair enough. There you go.
Yeah, it's not much clearer than that, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean clearer, man. So right now, the playoffs start today. I said Minnesota would be the seventh seed of the wild card.
Actually, you know what? Here's the problem. Here's the reason why the Cowboys will have competition for the playoffs, and it's the NFC South. If your Cowboys bumble and let the Falcons in, I am going to get the "and I blame you" soundbite so I can play it during the show. And I don't mean his show. I mean the Student of the Game Report. And I blame you because now I got to listen to Danny Thompson try to tell me.
It ain't happening. Don't let fetch happen. Ain't happening.
But that being said, with Taylor Heineke at the helm, I think you dismiss it too much. I really think that matters because now suddenly they got the second best quarterback in the division and maybe the first if Carr continues to struggle as he.
Carr played well this week though. He played well this week.
He played this. He has struggled at times.
Yeah, no, he's been up and down. He's been very topsy-turvy. I agree. But what other team in the bottom of the NFC? Okay, fine. You can say either a Bucs or a Saints, Falcons, whatever. What other team in the NFC is threatening? I guess it's the Rams, the only other team you can consider.
I think
Commanders could be frisky.
Well, no, the Commanders are not a factor.
I agree, 100%.
The Rams, I'm not prepared to rule out yet. Are you?
Yeah. Not yet, but I've been a little disappointed the last couple of weeks.
Now granted, they're going to have at least 6 losses on the year because they do eventually have to play the 49ers again in a game where they typically struggle, But if you peruse the Rams schedule, it's not wildly intimidating. Other than playing the Raiders in December,
mm-hmm.
I mean, the next toughest game might be the Browns.
Can you see them getting 8 wins?
Yeah. Yeah.
They need 5 more.
Because it's potential. There's potential for them to beat the Packers in Green Bay. They got the Cardinals on the schedule. So that's 2. They got the Commanders. I think that's a potential for 3. They have the Giants. There's 4, which means
4, definitely.
Yeah, which means all they got to do is beat the Browns or the Saints to get there, or fool the world and beat the Niners in Santa Clara, which if they turn things around, maybe they'll be resting.
To your point, though, I would not, if Kirk Cousins was healthy, I would not have felt this way.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument there.
That's my larger point there.
I'm not going to argue with you about your feelings, but yeah, Kirk Cousins is a factor. Listen, I've been talking about power vacuum due to the departure of one quarterback in the NFC North for the past 2 off seasons. So, I'm supposed to be shocked Kirk Cousins is a factor.
No, we on the same page here, brother. I mean, we're not even. No, I'm with you, man. All right, so, I think I like the Rams also too as that 7th wild card still, even though they've struggled last couple weeks and all that. Do you have any winners for next week on those big games? Seattle, Baltimore, for example.
Well, I do picks at the end of the student of the game, which you'll be involved with tomorrow night as we do the simulcast. Bing! So, maybe we shouldn't be too premature on that.
Okay, so you wait till tomorrow to really picks.
See, this is called teasing.
I don't get a leak on the picks. One day leak.
Your lack of discipline is disturbing, Ernest Christian.
Look, it's been 10 years. Deal with it.
Oh, I am, but I have to make that statement for the sake of the show. Like, this is for the audiences. I'm not disappointed. I'm just like, yeah, just like you didn't expect me to. Oh, well, if you're asking that many times, like, I'm not Mustafa from Austin Powers. If you ask me 3 times, I'm not going to spill. All right, it's not how that works.
Oh my God! All right, let's get to
Mustafa from Austin Powers, baby.
Oh God. Okay, let's get to the AP top 25. Well, actually, isn't tonight the first reveal?
Yes, the CFP, which I'm sure we'll be talking about on the student game simulcast with Huddle Up Bing for the All Saints Day event.
I'm trying to find the link here to top 25 poll, and it won't give it to me. I don't understand why it's doing it to me again. Bastards. All right, here we go.
You bastards!
Let's go, as we did last week, go 25 and up. 25 K-State.
Kansas State's, listen, I mean, Kansas State is better than you think, is what I'll say. I'm relatively indifferent. I think they have a right to be there more than a lot of other teams that have been in the past. I'll leave it at that.
24. USC, who escaped the win last week.
I mean,
okay, go ahead.
Them being that low really feels appropriate to me. I'll put it that way.
Well, it does feel appropriate because they're not that good. But we've been arguing about the Caleb Williams thing. Without Caleb Williams, this team's not even close to 500 team.
I don't think anybody's questioning that. What argument are you speaking to? I mean, I like the fact that James Madison, who you're about to bring up here at 23, is getting more respect than they are. I think that's appropriate today. I wish they had done that for UCF back in 2017 when they had 6 teams with 1 loss and 3 teams with 2 losses ahead of them in the polls, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to try to claim that UCF claimed a championship, even though the NCAA sanctioned it. Whatever. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Do you want to tell them? You want to tell them they won't listen?
Well, I can't declare a victory technically because there's too many factors that people don't understand. They're not ready for that conversation, right? That's something. I'll pull one from a different card. They're not ready for that conversation there, EJ.
Hey, 22, the frisky Kansas Jayhawks.
I mean, you're clearly rewarding them for beating a team that was this close to losing to UCF. I don't think that's justified. And no disrespect to Kansas. I think they're a good team and all. I think they should still be on the outside of the top 25 looking in. And, as I'll
was this like a 1-win team like 2 years ago?
They weren't full Colorado, but I'll put it this way. I think the reason they're doing this, EJ, is because in 3 weeks, Kansas State and Kansas are on a collision course with one another, and I'm fairly certain one of them is going to get knocked out of the top 25. I'll put it that way.
All right, 21, Tulane, up 1 spot.
Ain't mad at it. Listen, I as UCF parted the American losing to Tulane in the American Conference Championship. Listen, I'm glad to see they're doing it without Tyjae Spears. I'll say it again. I'm not mad at this placement.
UCLA. Pac-12.
They should be higher than at least the team that's ahead of them right now.
With Tennessee at 19?
I have no idea why they're in the top 25.
And it went up 2 spots too on top of that.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense. I would think Kansas is a more reasonable team than Tennessee right now. I don't. That's as big of an SEC homer as I am often and always.
You don't say.
I cop to it. What's your excuse, Cowboys fan? Anyways,
calm down. Thank you.
But I'm surprised you didn't give me a shut your ass. But
I used up for today.
That's true. Yeah, they don't do it for me. Maybe it's a bias against Josh Heupel. I know what he actually is, and he's showing it to Tennessee now. And this isn't me saying that Tennessee's a bad SEC program or any of that, so don't volunteer your criticism. But
I saw what you did there.
Yeah, thank you. But just right now, I'm not feeling it, man.
All right, 18 down 5 spots. Utah got trounced by Oregon. Ooh.
I think, listen, as much as I criticize Utah, I don't think that's fair. Oregon's a good football team, and down 5 spots is too much. Like, they should be ahead of freaking Air Force. What the hell are we doing?
But they're unbeaten at 17, buddy.
I don't care. I don't care. Oh, sorry. I forgot to go Dion. Ain't nobody care. Ain't nobody care. Who has Air Force beaten? Here are the juggernauts that have battled our mighty Air Force. So you ready? Robert Morris, Sam Houston, Utah State, San Jose State, San Diego State, Wyoming, Navy, and Colorado State. Is Wyoming the best win on there? I don't know. They all suck. That's my point. Put Utah ahead, period.
Put some respect on the Mountain West name, man.
The damn hardest I've fought for Utah in a long time. I blame you.
Yep. 16, Oregon State down 5 spots.
What the hell are we doing here? Why do people hate Oregon State so much? I don't understand. They lost to Arizona, a team that gave USC fits last week. Okay, what are we doing? I don't know. Especially considering who's ranked ahead of them right now, it's complete and utter trash.
15, Louisville up 3 spots. Your favorite team?
Get the bleep out of my face. They're only this high because Duke was so overrated for so long. I ain't got to bring that up anymore.
14, Missouri up 2 spots.
I like that they're getting the respect that they're getting here, EJ.
Of course. SEC.
Not just that, they've beaten some teams that are pretty good, right? Kansas State's on their list, LSU's on their list.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to LSU. I beg your pardon. Kentucky's on their list. Okay, Kentucky was overrated. I get that, but I think they should get a little credit for exposing teams that everybody thought was good as well. It may be a matter of time before the Tigers of Mizzou are themselves Janet Jackson status, meaning exposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not mad that they're there, and it certainly helps explain why the next team is where they are ahead of them.
I will say this though: if they win next week, though, they will be a easy top 10, probably top 5 team.
You think? Oh well.
Who they play next week?
If they lose in Athens next week, I don't even think they should move down a spot. That's what I'll say.
Okay, your boys LSU at 13.
My boys. No, they're not my boys. They're just part of the family. I want to cape up for this team, but I can't. So you beat Missouri, which I guess is more of an accomplishment than we thought at the beginning of the year. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'll put it this way. They have enough of a challenge to close out the next 4 games to prove to me that they earn that spot, and I'll leave it at that. If they win out, I'm good.
Well, they play Alabama next week.
They will. So
they play Alabama next week. So
that's my point exactly.
Yeah.
So
12, the Irish.
Listen, I'm listen. First of all, this is the highest I've been on the Irish in years. My biggest problem with them is letting Louisville do what they did. That conference loss devastated both me and Big Jim. That's a joke. And I'm so excited that they didn't need 3 overtimes to beat Pittsburgh this year. That I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, congratulations, guys.
But I mean, they definitely deserve credit for exposing USC, no question. They beat USC before it was cool. That's what I'll say. They were helpful in exposing Duke, though they need Louisville's help to do that. I'm not mad at their placement at 12, is it?
That was 12, yeah.
I could pound the table for them being a little lower, but I won't. I'm not that mad at it. This is Notre Dame's toughest schedule in some time. I'm good with 12. As much as Big Jim wants to tell me I'm a hater, I'm not here. 11,
Ole Miss, one spot.
Man, this is a sneaky team.
Sneaky
to
frisky.
be 11. Yeah, sneaky and frisky. I'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, who have they played? Other than they did beat LSU. That's
LSU,
why
right? They beat LSU. That was a great game. Arguably game of the year, arguably.
Yeah, fair. I would argue LSU lost it more than they wanted, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I can see that.
and you give them that credit. They got Georgia on the schedule. I think that's another one. If they lose, they really shouldn't drop. Golly, the rest of their schedule is mediocrity. I'm not mad at this spot, but also don't be shocked if they don't finish here.
10 Oklahoma down 4 spots.
Absolutely ass.
Too high, too low.
Stupid low. Why are they even in the top 25 at this point? Okay. I think that's a legitimate question. You nearly lost to UCF. And then you got beat by Kansas. I thought you were supposed to be all that in a bag of chips because you beat a Texas team who was number 3 going into this game. Texas, and that's the end of it. And they won't have anybody else that's good enough to really punk them again. So they'll probably finish in the top 10, and that's complete garbage. Because let's pretend this year that we had a top 12 playoff. I would be very unhappy that the Sock-Hawker was in it because he has no business being there.
All right, number 9, yellow favorite team, Penn State at 1 spot.
Speaking of teams that have no business being anywhere, I think you found the one team that whose existence in the top 10 frustrates me even more than Oklahoma. What are we doing? That 33-24 was a lot closer to that against Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana was this close to saying, "Who's your daddy?"
That was close. Yeah, that game got a lot more uncomfortable.
And we're still rewarding this damn club. And by the way, their juggernaut of a schedule remaining other than Michigan, the ACC, Big Ten, I don't know what conference I should really be in, Maryland and Rutgers pairing. Woo! Okay. Yeah, I went off Ric Flair on you. You like that?
Right. Yeah, I love it.
What's going to happen is they're going to lose to Michigan and still stay in the top 10. Oh, well, they got that quality loss. Watch. Continue.
Well, this school's inching closer and closer. 8, Alabama at 1 spot.
You know, as much as we want to crap on Alabama, the difference is they've improved. Now, part of it is beating teams with false hype. You know, like I include Tennessee in particular, just like Notre Dame has been guilty of in past years, just like Louisville is guilty of this year. I really think this LSU game is an appropriate one for these two teams to decide their fates, and I'll leave it at that.
Right. All right. No change here. Number 7, Texas.
Did they even play? I mean,
yeah, they beat
they beat BYU. Not impressed.
Yeah.
Just about like I am with the Texas team at this point. Not impressed. 7's okay, I guess, for now. At least they're ahead of Penn State. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, number 6, up 2 spots, Oregon with a dominant win against Utah.
Love that they're there. They both the next 2 teams should be higher, by the way.
I have Washington. No change.
Bro, you know how I feel about Washington. That is a college football playoff team. And so too is Oregon. I guess what I'm saying is I'm starting to pound the table for 2 Pac-12 teams. And I can tell you already the 2 teams that are missing. We'll get there.
So Joe Clapp was right. The Pac-12 is the most deepest conference in football right now.
They're not the deepest conference in college football. Slow your ass. But they do have 2 of the best 4 teams. I'll grant that.
The big conversation, that's all. All right, number 4, my boys, the Florida State Seminoles.
No business to be here. None. They should be top 10, but their schedule is ass, EJ Christian.
How low should they go?
They should be where Oregon is.
I'll go with that. That's fine.
Fair enough.
Well, they got to play. They still got to play Miami and Florida at the end of the year. So we'll see.
Juggernauts.
Right. Yeah, I'm telling you. 3, Ohio State.
Ohio State should be where Washington is now. Who have they played, Ernest Christian?
They played Notre Dame.
And?
That's it.
That's it.
Well, and Penn State, but, you know.
And if I'll tell you this, Pac-12 fans, anybody out in the West Coast, the only reason you won't get 2 is because the committee and the ranking writers out there have put Penn State entirely too high. I had Matt Murschel on the student of the game last week before our simulcast, understanding why I questioned Penn State. Mm-hmm. And then what happened. So it'll be very interesting. I've scheduled Matt Murschel to record with me. He'll be on his next segment on November 22nd during the Orlando Magic hosting the Denver Nuggets, by the way. Your NBA champion, Denver Nuggets.
Who on a roll right now.
I mean, who's shocked, really?
So good.
But speaking up on a roll and so good, 1 and 2, you can put them however you want. I ain't mad at it, but they obviously
well, Georgia 2, Georgia 1, Michigan 2. I think it should be Michigan 1, but again, Georgia's had a tougher schedule with 2 teams, but it's not saying much. But whatever. Before I get out of here, Michigan, real quick, the Jim Harbaugh Michigan investigation on the sign stealing. Word was, huh?
I mean, do we really know enough yet? That's kind of my
no. But what do you stand on the whole sign stealing thing?
So, I think the problem is, and I know Joel Klatt doesn't necessarily agree with me, but I think the rule was made because they're talking about, the only way you could take it away is to put audio in the helmets, but the disparity in cash between some Division I schools and others is so great. Like, how do you account for that?
Yeah.
And so the idea that you can't advance scout, I think it's well intended. I just don't know how practical it is, for one. And I think across the board, the sentiment is that if you steal signs during a game in a world where they're holding up signs and all this other stuff, I think actually your boy Dan Lebitard put it best. Like, they're holding up signs and everybody, they're supposed to look over here. I don't remember if it was Klatt or Lebitard. It could have been either one in this case. But the punchline's this: stealing signs during the game has a ubiquity. A guy who's pure sports and a guy who is sport adjacent, like I talk about with their contact with Dan Lebitard, and that doesn't mean bad. That just means different. Mm-hmm. But guys that are that wide a spectrum unanimously agree that I've seen from the sample I've taken that stealing signs during the game, be it baseball, football, through means that aren't directly addressed in the rules, ain't nobody care, and rightly so. See what I did there?
Rightly so, yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to say it's a much ado about nothing, but even though he's a super homer, Rich Eisen also brings up the point of some random firm comes up to the NCAA and goes, hey, we have these that Michigan we think is guilty of. Want to do something? I'm inclined to be like an acting coach and ask, what's your motivation here? You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's fishy. And I know Big Jim Neese will agree with me on that, Marge, but I think it's a fair question no matter how much homerism we inject into it. And listen, I'm not a pro Michigan guy. I came around on them a little bit because I appreciated that they were smart enough to hold on to Jim Harbaugh, but that's about it.
Yeah. Oh wait, we got a trade alert. Washington sends Montez Sweat to the Bears for a 2024 second round pick.
Ain't nobody care.
Yeah.
Anyway,
2 teams that ain't going nowhere fast.
No, I like that one team's trying to upgrade their defense. I like the other team's trying to get picks. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Do you see any big names being moved before deadline day?
Not really.
Adams.
Not really. I because the biggest problem with Devontae Adams is they play Monday night this week, the Raiders, I believe. So
they play the Lions.
Right. That's wildly problematic from a logistics standpoint. That means they have essentially 6 hours after that game from when they walk off the field to make the deal. And I don't I'll look real quick. I got a sec.
Okay.
But so these trades take time and have to be built and all that other stuff. But I mean, or am I wrong? Do they play? Oh yeah, they play Monday night tonight. That's correct.
No, last night.
That's not Monday night tonight. I'm sorry. They played last night, right? The trade deadline is today.
Today, 4 o'clock.
That's where I'm at. Yeah. And yeah, they were on the road. So like the clock is ticking and they have to try to fly back west however many hours.
According to Jordan Schultz of Yahoo, he did meet the Raiders this morning. So we'll see if that transpires to a trade request and a turnover. We'll see.
I mean, I'll put it this way.
I doubt it, but
if it hasn't happened before or while we're recording this podcast, it doesn't have much time left to do so.
Right. To your point. Anyway, Kyle, it was fun as always. Are you going to trick or treating out with the kids?
Well, no, I'm not going to bang on the doors and ask for candy at my size. Somebody will think I'm trying to shake them down. No, but I will.
They are.
But they are, yeah. I will be on the streets with Athena and Spider-Man. Doing the thing. I'm pretty sure Mrs. of the Game will be in her Medusa costume. And I will be there perusing the streets in my own mythological garb. I guess I'm Zeus, but that has its own implications. That it's not a great look if you're married with 2 kids and you're Zeus. You know what I'm saying?
It's been what, 3 years since Maui?
God, is it? I think it's more than that. Actually, I think it's more like 5.
Wow, time flies. My God, I'm getting old.
Because it was 2 years before the pandemic where I did Maui.
Oh my God, I'm old.
And then I did Mr. Incredible after that, which was a big hit, by the way. Mostly, listen, Mrs. of the Game was a fantastic Elastigirl. She shined on that.
Awesome. All right, man, plug away.
Honor, joy, and privilege, Earnest Christian. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night on the All Saints simulcast with the Huddle Up crew. Bing, all that other happy stuff.
And by the way, I do promise I will not curse on that episode.
I mean, yeah, that would give me a lot more work, and it's frankly trouble I don't need on Halloween night. Anyways,
fuck. Sorry.
Get it out of your system. There you go.
I get out of the system now. Yeah.
Anyways, honor, joy, and privilege, and all. Yeah, you can't curse on the All Saints Day podcast. Like, what does that say, EJ Christian?
Oh, that's just bad.
I don't know if you're practicing in your religion, but just anyway.
My last name?
Problematic. My middle name, but spelled different. Anyways,
that's right.
Honor, joy, and privilege, Earnest Christian, to be aboard and continue to do the Student Game Report with you. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the Student Game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram and Threads as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the Student Game. Check out my writings with the Jaguar Report as I analyze how the Jags beat the Steelers in a way you expect the Steelers to typically win a football game. Very interesting juxtaposition, and also hurt the feelings of some Steeler fans. That wasn't intentional, sorry. But, hey, maybe, convert some stuff. Anyways, I guess I threw some shade there. Anyways, Jaguar Report of SI, and also my work with the 3-point conversion covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've submitted my credential request after the bye week to cover the 49ers and the Tennessee Titans. So look out for that. Also my work with the Duval Dive podcast with my friend and champion, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. We're going to try to do a simulcast this week with the Pro Sports Fans app. Simultaneous love, baby. There's a South Park reference for you. And Isaac Hayes rules, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Then, of course, my work with A7BN Sports covering the Orlando Magic. I think the next Magic game I'm going to attend is the upcoming Saturday with the Los Angeles Lakers coming to town.
They almost won last night. I watched that game last night. Fell asleep at the end, but they were close to beating them last night.
So, hey, man. Yeah, I know that road trip was an opportunity for sure. But, hey, I mean, this team is so young. They're still going to make to the play-in with a shot at the playoffs. I see that pretty universally. And the players agree with it, too. Like, listen, not every game is going to be a 30-point blowout over the Rockets. I get it. Yeah. They did beat the Blazers, which, again, not really a huge litmus test there, but whatever.
No, not even close.
Yeah, so with all that in mind, and honor, joy, and privilege, Earnest Christian, until next time, class.